Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be doing the build that many of you have been asking for, which is my Stamina Warden. I guess you could call it more of a hybrid because nowadays everything's kind of a hybrid build, right? I mean, why would you go full stamina when you can just utilize magic skills that are better? So yeah, let's call it a hybrid Warden. So I hope you all are doing well, and thank you for tuning in again. Um, yeah, I'm really excited for Warden next patch. I think it's going to get a nice buff, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be overpowered. I don't think it's going to be the best class in the game or anything like that. I do think it's going to be good though. So, as always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We have a big portion of our viewers that watch the channel but are not subscribed, so please, if you watch the video and enjoy the video and take any information away, please subscribe or like. It really helps the channel, and I appreciate you all. Thank you as always. So without any further ado, let's just get into it. So we're going to do the character screen, we are going to do the gear, and we're going to do the skills, and I'll throw in the CP as well. So let's get started, and yeah. So here's the character screen. Let me buff up, get my stats up here. Okay. So now, we're chilling at 18,000 magic. It's plenty. I really don't have an issue with it. We're also using a restoration staff, so we will be able to heavy attack and get our magic back up with no problemo. So we have 33k health, that's also plenty, we don't have to worry about it. We have 1400 stam recovery, which in reality is probably about 1600 because of our Betty. We have 23,000 stamina, which again is also plenty. I've seen people run with much less, so I don't really have an issue with that. And then we have 5200 spell damage. Now, I'm sorry, I know I spec'd into spell damage instead of quote-unquote weapon damage, but it doesn't matter nowadays. The gear I already had, it already had spell damage on it. I tried weapon damage and spell damage on it, and it didn't matter. It literally made no difference. So again, nowadays, spell damage, weapon damage doesn't matter. Everything scales into your highest stat, so it's not that big of a deal. But we have 5200 spell damage before our glyphs and whatnot. So very nice. So our critical, our spell and weapon critical is 26%. That's plenty. I mean, crit isn't the biggest deal nowadays, but we definitely need to have a decent amount of crit so, you know, we can do what we need to do. And getting a nice Dawnbreaker crit or, you know, a Deep Fissure crit is very nice. So we have 4,000 penetration. That's, of course, before the minor breach and the major breach. So that gives us another, like, I don't know, 8,000, something like that. So we could be potentially at, let's say, 8,000 plus 4,000. We're about at 12,000 penetration. If you use Balorg, you could be at even more. But I'm not using Balorg currently. I am using something else. I will go over it in a second. If we use a potion, we get 1700 stamina recovery, and then it's almost like 1950 because of our Betty, so we're almost at 2000. We heavy attack a crap ton, so I'm not that worried about it. And then on the front bar, our resistance is 27 spell and 24 physical. Pretty solid, but on the back bar, we have 31 spell and 29, I round up, sorry, 29 physical resistance. 29k, 31k. So our crit resistance is 1800. It's whatever. You know, it's not that big of a deal. I'm not too worried about it. In terms of the attributes, we went 13 magic, 41 health, 10 stamina. Now, this could change or vary just based on your race, your glyphs, etc. I put a mixture of magic, health, and stamina glyphs on my gear just so I can, you know, get some of each because I do use everything. Now, you could just use prismatic on everything. Unfortunately, I did not feel like spending 70, 80k a pop on these freaking glyphs. I think I have the mats to make them, but I don't have my enchanting level all the way up because I usually just buy everything. I don't really care. So, yeah, do the attributes as you see fit. I would like to say you get 32, 33k health, and then after that, totally up to you. Again, like I said, attributes might change. So we are a Breton. Now, the reason we're a Breton is number one, well, unfortunately, we were running a Magden for a very long time. I'm talking like years. I'm actually new to Stamden. I put a lot of time in now, but at the time I was never planning on playing Stamden. I was a Magden main, so I am a Breton. Now, it might be better to be Imperial, maybe better to be even a Nord or an Argonian, but at the end of the day, Breton's not the worst thing in the world because you do still use a lot of magic. So in this day and age in ESO, it really doesn't matter what race you are, I think, because you do use everything. Like we use a lot of magic skills, so like it really isn't that bad. And because magic's our secondary stat, it's kind of nice having that extra sustain for our magic, so we don't have to worry about speccing into it really at all because our race kind of sustains it for us. So it's not that bad. I don't have any. I actually have more issues with stamina than magic, really, but I really don't have any issues at all with sustain because I heavy attack so much, and I use a mixture of magic and stamina skills, so everything's pretty sustained. If I'm, on my back bar, I'm probably using magic. On my front bar, I'm using stamina, so it's not bad. But you get the extra max mag, so you don't have to put any attribute points into it, and that allows us to not run like something like Bewitched Sugar Skulls. We can use a recovery stamina food and not have to worry about it. We have a lot of and this also gives you a lot of spell resistance. It gives you up to 4,600 spell resistance, basically at all times, because if you have chilled, burning, or concuss, you get that extra resistance, and then you get a nice magic recovery, and then a reduced magic cost of your skills by 7%. So that's Arctic Wind, that's Ice Fortress, that's Deep Fissure, etc. It's very nice. I can't really complain about it, but again, it might be better to be Imperial because you get that reduced cost on everything. So just throwing that out there. So let's get into the gear. So on the front bar, we have Of the Fire. Now, Of the Fire is kind of a fire set, no pun intended, but it is a good set. Now, it gives you weapon and spell damage, it gives you max stamina, it gives you critical chance, and then when you deal, and then when you deal damage with a weapon, that's a heavy attack, that's any weapon skills, that's anything like that, you deal an additional 3,500 flame damage. This effect can occur once every 2 seconds and scales up the higher of your weapon and spell damage. Now, is there something better out there? Maybe. Ashen Grip is another great set. This set's very similar. Sistress is another nice set from it's a bash set, but this set is it's just easy. I know Ashen Grip is also very easy to do. This one's just another option. I like Of the Fire. I always have. I already had these swords golded out, so I didn't really have to worry about it. Again, we're using dual wield, so we're using double swords, double sharpen. Now, in an ideal world, I didn't have this, but you would go a sword on the main hand with Nirnhund, and then you can go backhand with the mace sharpened. That's typically what people do. It's a very good setup. This isn't bad per se. It's really not that bad. It's really not. The difference is negligible. It's not that big of a deal, but you will get a little bit more spell damage if you use the Nirnhund. So yeah, but it still works. It's a great set. It's very easy to proc. I mean, I can just show you real quick. You run over to an enemy. Oh, there's no enemies around. Sorry. I'll find one eventually, but yeah, very easy to proc. You can buy the set for very cheap, and it's a great set. It comes in heavy armor, so very, very nice. So on the back bar, we are using Daedric Trickery. I think a lot of you know what this set is. This set is amazing. We're using a Resto Staff because number one, I found when I use a great sword or a one-handed shield, I ran out of magic constantly, so I have to have a Resto Staff to be able to get that magic back on demand and not have to worry about it. Now, there's also great passives in the restoration tree. We are using defending on it. We have the Berserker Glyph. I love defending right now. I don't know why. I was a big advocate of powered. I do like powered, don't get me wrong. I think defending's a little better. I think that flat resistance a little bit more beneficial than that little bit of healing. The 9% isn't great. Now, if you're using something like the Heartland Conqueror to double the healing, it's really good. But I'm a big fan of the defending right now. I do actually have a powered staff of Daedric Trickery, but I did go opt in for the defending. It's working a little better for me because we're almost at max out resistances already, so it kind of works out really well. It's really, really nice. Yeah, so you're getting that basically max out resistance with Daedric Trickery, and then Daedric Trickery offers so much healing and mitigation that, like, I don't worry about the powered, but it gives you max health, it gives you max stamina for the 3-piece, which is nice, so you don't have to switch to your back bar to get that stamina, so it is nice as a stand-in. You get the max magic as the 4-piece, then when you deal damage, you gain 1 of 5 random major buffs for 21 seconds every 9 seconds. Eligible buffs are Major Expedition, which is movement speed, Protection, which is damage mitigation, Mending, which is healing done, Heroism, ultimate regen, Vitality is healing received. So, very, very good. Now, something to note is that Major Vitality and Major Mending stack with one another. So you could get 16% healing and 16% healing received. So you're essentially getting 32% healing at all times. Not all times, but it could be at all times. So that's really nice. Now, something else to mention is we do have the Restoration Staff, so that gives us on-demand Major Mending, but that's not going to always be available. So being able to get that protection, that expedition, again, we also have Major Expedition on demand, but again, not always going to be easy to do in the midst of combat. It's easy to have this set and just do what we need to do, play the game. It gives you the buffs by itself. Major Heroism is incredible. Also, Warden has a source of Major Heroism, but didn't have room to fit it, so it works out well. Crazy healing, and the Restoration Staff is solid because You get major mending for 4 seconds after completing a heavy attack, so if you have the vitality up and your major mending doesn't happen to be up, you could just heavy attack. So it is really, really nice. I'm a big fan of it. Also, you increase your healing by 15% on allies under 30% health. That's an insane passive right there alone. I love that passive. That's really the main reason I use it, because it stacks so well with your vampirism, undead, or undeath I think it's called. So it's really, really nice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. So that's how I feel. I really like the restoration staff, and I really like Danger Trickery because these buffs are just all incredible buffs. Really good buffs. So for the monster set, don't look at that trait because that's freaking hideous. Invigorating, you don't want that. You want reinforced or impen or well fitted or literally anything else. But it's what I got. I didn't feel it. I couldn't find the dungeon. I tried to grind the dungeon again. Literally no one was doing it. So I just said, F it, screwed, and just dealt with invigorating. But nonetheless, we are using Malabeth Scourger. Now I want to mention that I feel like Warden really struggles to heal without a healing monster set. I don't know what it is. I feel like they just cannot heal, man. It's so frustrating. Like, I literally feel like I have to use this set. And when I have, I find a lot of success. I mean, we are a melee build, so we get a lot of this. It pretty much procs constantly. But you get 1 piece of health, and then you get, when you take damage, you get a 10% chance to create a beam that steals health over 6 seconds from your attacker. While the beam holds, you get major vitality, increasing healing received by 16%. The beam breaks if you're 8 meters away. This effect can occur every 6 seconds. So basically, 100% uptime. It really is. It procs constantly, but like I said before, you do have a source of major vitality already with Danger Trickery, but it doesn't matter because that's just reinforcing the fact that you're going to have this buff up all the time. Between Danger Trickery and Scourge, and then you have your heavy attack for major mending, you're getting that 32% healing, I'm telling you, like, all the time. And then that's why I said Powered is another good option for your staff, because you can get the 9% on top of the 32%. So you could essentially get 39% healing all the time. That is why I think this is such a good setup. You're just stacking the buffs on each other. That's just icing on the cake. You get so much healing from this set. But if you don't want to use it, and if you aren't convinced, there are other options. One of them is Engine Guardian. Engine Guardian's incredible. It negates so much damage. It's so good. But that's another one. Zoldia the Wakeful is another set. It's a great set for CC and getting out of tight situations. Yeah, it's really good. It gives you some spell damage as well. And then you could use Balorg. You know, everyone knows what Balorg does. Alti. So yeah, that's what we're using for the gear. Now we're using 3 heavy, head, chest, shoulders. So we're using 5 heavy, or actually we're using 6 heavy and 1 medium. In an ideal world, what you would probably want to do is change out one of these Danger Trickery pieces and try to get light. If you can get 5 heavy, 1 medium, 1 light, you're in a great spot. That's really what I try to do. So like, if you really could, you would probably replace this Danger Trickery ring with the fire ring, and then you could put on another Danger Trickery on the body and then get a light. So ideally you want 5 heavy, 1 light, 1 medium. I just want you to know that. And then for traits, like I said, reinforced on the big pieces, and then you're going to want well fitted or impen or something like, you know, one of those 3. Impen, well fitted, reinforced. They're the 3 best. So yeah, that's what I would worry about. Don't mind the blue feet. I literally forgot to upgrade it. I didn't realize. I apologize. And then I would upgrade my Danger Trickery ring, but Jesus Christ, it's so expensive to upgrade. But we are using Infused on 2 of our pieces, and then we are using the Ring of Majesty. The Ring of Majesty is amazing. Bloodthirsty. You get 100 weapon and spell damage and 1100 armor for every set you're wearing 3 pieces of. So you're getting 200 spell damage and 2300 armor. You would think it isn't that good, like, that's whatever, like, whatever. But it's amazing. Like, you're getting 2 5 pieces, essentially. Like, think of it as, like, getting the fortified brass bonus at the 5 piece, and then also getting, like, a mini, like, rally and cry. Like, you're getting a bunch of weapon and spell damage and a bunch of armor. It really rounds out the build, in my opinion, and it also makes it to where you don't have to use a set that's just straight up armor. So you can get many other buffs, because for a while I was using Pariah on the back bar, and then using something like, you know, Death Dealer's Feet or Malakath or even Sea Serpent, but it was lacking so much damage and sustain because it was just straight up armor, and it wasn't giving me anything else. So Ring of Majesty gives you that nice, well-rounded feel to the build that I feel like you have to have. So it's a really good mythic. But yeah, that's what I'm using. If you don't want to use Ring of Majesty and you really are adamant on not, you could use Malakath and you could use Death Dealer's Feet, and you also could make a trainee ring and use Sea Serpent. Sea Serpent's annoying because you're slow as crap, but it's still solid. So yeah, that is the gear, everybody. Let's move on to the skills. On the front bar, we have Vigor. Vigor is really, really nice. Sorry, my Vampire Undead ran out, but it's okay. But yeah, you get a decent chunk of healing. Again, like I said, once you have that 32% healing up, you're going to get a lot more healing, you know what I'm saying? So this is doing, well over 2k a second when you get those buffs up. I have it on my front bar because I want to have it up at all times. Essentially, I make it part of my rotation. So I just constantly am using it every 4 seconds because it's, well, you need to use it. But yeah, we're using Deep Fissure. Very, very obviously important skill. Don't use Subterranean Assault. Use Deep Fissure. This one's way better. It does a shit ton of damage. Huge AoE and applies that Major and Minor Breach, which is going to up your damage by infinite amounts. So make sure you use this morph. Really good. It is sadly getting a little bit of a nerf next patch. It's going to be really weird. It's going to go twice just like Subterranean, but it's going to be every, I think, 3 seconds and not, or 4 seconds and 9 seconds, or 3 seconds and 9 seconds, like that. So the initial damage is going to be reduced, and then the 9-second one's going to do more damage, but I believe it's going to be, not that much different. It's really weird, but I'm not worried about it right now. Bird of Prey, really good skill. Gives you 7% damage done, actually. Next update is going to give the 5% and then extra penetration. And then also next patch is going to serve as a CC immunity, so it's just going to be like a mini race against time. So that's really nice as well. And then here we're using the corny, lame, cheese Spin to Win. Spin to Win's incredible, though. It hits people while rolling, I feel like. I'm pretty sure it does. And it does a crap ton of damage. I mean, does up to 100% more damage. It starts doing their modifier at 50%. So that's really, really nice. Does so much damage. And then we're using Cutting Dive. I use this because if I was using a Master Dual Wield, I would use Rending Slashes, but I'm not. So I like Cutting Dive, number 1, because it's pretty cool. Number 2 is it sets people off balance at more than 7 meters. So what you do is if they're running away or far away, or let's say you're going into a fight, like let's say your guy's over towards them rocks over there, you drop the Subterranean and you're spamming Cutting Dive on them already, and you're already putting damage into them. And by the time you get there, you're getting 1,000+ tick on a dot that's already doing damage, because every single time that you hit them, once you hit them from far away, it puts that little proc on them. So everyone you use in that meantime while they're off balance is going to do the bleed, even if you're close to them. So, you're going to want to use one Cutting Dive before you get close. Get that proc on them, so then anything you use is going to create that dot. And then that kind of does a 2-for-1, because not only is it your spammable, but now it's also your dot. So that, because we don't have a dot on the bar itself, so we're not using like Swarm, Growing Swarm, we're using Cutting Dive, and it serves as our dot and our spammable. Really good skill, and it also gives extra damage done because of Animal Companion passives. So great skill. It grew on me. I used to not like it. Now I'm a big fan. So we are using Dawnbreaker. Lastly, try to go quicker. Sorry, I'm taking forever. Does 16.5k and does 18k physical damage over 6 seconds, and stuns. That's the big thing. It stuns. Really, really nice. So you can kind of time your burst. You essentially can hit a Deep Fissure, right? So it has 2 seconds. You heavy attack into boom. Same time. Really good. Melts people. You could also use Northern Storm if you want to. So on the back bar we have Ice Fortress, like I said. Gives you your armor buff and it gives you minor protection. Here we have Leeching Vines. This skill is very, very good. Just gives you a bunch of healing done. It gives you that 2400 every second, then also gives you the 600 a second on top of it. So it's really solid. Arctic Wind is your CC and your kind of your quote-unquote burst heal. I say quote-unquote burst heal because it doesn't really do much. For me, I don't have that much health, so it doesn't really heal as much as you'd like it to, but next patch it's going to get buffed, I think. It's changing from scaling on health to scaling on your max stats, so our healing is going to be way better next patch. It's going to be so sick. I can't wait. It still works out now, so even next patch it's going to be even better. I'm excited for the next patch because of that. And then here we're using Green Lotus. I tried using the build without Green Lotus, with Green Lotus. I love this skill, really, because once you're heavy attacking on your Resto Staff to get your magic back, you're getting a big fat heal out of it because it heals for 5k before it crits and stuff, and for your modifiers. So that's really nice. And then it also gives you your crit, and it's going to heal you for every light attack. So like I said, you're heavy attacking a lot to proc your Way of the Fire proc. But also, like, you're using this, you're heavy attacking, like, you're getting a beefy heal every single time. Like, you're just healing yourself for doing damage. I get, like, 2,500, 3,000 crits with this just from, like, heavy attacking. Like, that's insane. So, you know, it's a really good skill, and it only costs 1,300. So, you can't go wrong with it. You really can't. And then lastly, we're using Betty, or Bull Netch. Grants you 5k stamina over 25 seconds, so it's basically giving you 250 recovery, and then gives you your spell and weapon damage, and then cleanses a negative effect. And then lastly, we're using Healing Thicket. Very, very decent heal. I mean, it's not amazing. I thought about using Life Giver, but I actually think I like Healing Thicket better because, one, it's cheaper, and two, I feel like people like get annoyed when you use it. Like, you run around the corner, drop a Healing Thicket, and they're like, Jesus Christ, like, stop. So I use it because it's cheaper, and it also gives you a little bit of a passive right here. It gives you 2% healing done, so, you know, it's not bad. And then also this right here, healing yourself with a green balance gives you major mending. So, yeah, really nice. And then to get into the CP, I think this is right. I think this is what I usually use. Master at Arms, Biting Aura, Ironclad, and then Untamed Aggression is what I'm using. And then here we're using Restlessness, Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, and then Peace of Mind. Yeah, Peace of Mind's going to get changed though, because probably shouldn't be using that because I am more of a stamina build, so Peace of Mind can be changed to whatever. Probably the stamina version of it, but the other three are definitely what I use. So yeah, and then the green tree, of course, is just pretty much like the fall damage thing, the extra duration on your food, like whatever. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the build. Let me know what you think down below. And yeah, I will leave a link to the gameplay in the description because I posted it actually in my last video. So as always, guys, I appreciate it, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe. See you later.